Okay. All right. Time to feed these hungry viewers. You got to feed these viewers. They want their content. I got him. I got him. Oh, by the way, hello viewers. Mornings. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. All right. I got some content for you guys. All right. What do we got here? We're talking about AMD. Says AMD breathes life into the Ryzen 5G family with 6 new chips. But seasoning with up to 8 Zen 3 cores and 4.6 gigahertz boost clock. All right, and it says AM4 refused to write off in the sunset. Yeah, it has more life in it. Listen to this. It says here, despite launching the Ryzen 9000 CPUs in 2024, some 2 generations after the Ryzen 5G processor, which launched in 2021. AMD quietly released 6 new Zen 3 seasoning chips recently. As ex-user Everest shared, these chips will come in the flavor of Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, and Ryzen 7. Seasoning yield Zen 3 cores with integrated Radeon Vega graphics and slot into the AM4 socket. The chips are limited to PCIe 3.0 speed and DDR4. AMD hasn't announced the price of these CPU yet, nor has it announced if they will be available to the retail market. Given the specification, they are likely priced lower to focus on the budget segment of the market. For example, the AMD Ryzen 7 5700G is currently listed at $155 on Amazon, whereas the most affordable Ryzen 9000 chip available right now, the AMD Ryzen 5 9600X, costs $279. This isn't the first time AMD has launched new CPU based on older generations of Ryzen chips. The company silently launched the Ryzen 5 7400F in January 2025, 2 months after the launch of AMD's celebrated Ryzen 7 9800X3D gaming CPU. Team Red has even released an AMD Ryzen 5 5700XT and 5600T chips. Between the launch of the vanilla Ryzen 9000 series and 9800X3D, which can confuse the average consumer, says here, well, then it gives a table of content here. Got the AMD Ryzen 570, what's this, 5705 GE, and it says core thread 8 to 16, base clock 3.2, boost clock 4.6, cache is L2 cache is 4 megabytes, and let's see, L3 cache is 16, TDP is 35, integrated graphics. Now for the AMD Ryzen 7 5705, it's 3.8 gigahertz, 4.6 boost clock, 4 megabytes of L2 cache, 16 megabytes of L3 cache. TDP is 65 Radeon graphics. And then for the AMD Ryzen 5 5605 GE, core thread is 612, boost clock is 3.4 gigahertz. Base clock is 3.4 gigahertz. Boost clock is 4.4 gigahertz. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see, L2 cache is 3 megabytes. L3 cache is 16, and then TDP is 35 Radeon graphics. And then let's see, AMD Ryzen 5 5605G. It's 6 to 12 core threads. Base clock is 3.9. Boost clock is 4.4. L2 cache is 3 megabytes. L3 cache is 16. TDP is 65. Radeon graphics integrated. And then for AMD Ryzen 5 5305 GE, its core threads is 4 to 8. Base clock is 3.6. Boost clock is 4.2. L2 cache is 2 megabytes. L3 cache is 8 megabytes, and TDP is 35. And integrated graphics, graphics Radeon is 6. And then for the the graphics core count is 6, and say graphics frequencies is 1700. For the first one, that I read off, didn't see this part. The first one that I read off, the Ryzen 7 5705, the graphics core count is 8, and the graphics frequency is 2000. For the what's that? The 5705, the graphics core count is 8, and the graphics frequency is 2000. For the 5605, the graphics core count is 7. The graphics frequency is 1900. For the Ryzen 5605, the graphics core count is 7, and the graphics frequency is 1900. So now we back on track. I missed those parts. Now, for the AMD Ryzen 3 5305, the graphics thread is the core count is 4 to 8. Base clock is 3.6. Boost clock is 4.2. L2 cache is 2 megabytes. L3 is 8. TDP is 35. Integrated graphics Radeon. Graphics core count 6. Graphics frequency is 1700. And for the last one, AMD Ryzen 3 5305. The core thread is 4 to 8. The base clock is 4 gigahertz. The boost clock is 4.2, and let's see, the L2 cache is 2 megabytes. L3 is 8. TDP is 65. Radeon graphics core count 6, and graphics frequency 1700. So now back to the paragraphs, and let's get this finished here. Sorry for the mix-up. It says here the Ryzen 3 5305G and Ryzen 5 5605G and Ryzen 7 5705 appears to share identical specification to the vanilla Ryzen 4 5300G and the Ryzen 5 5600G and Ryzen 7 5700G. AMD will also offer the new chips in the GE with 35 watts variant. As usual, AMD continued support for the AM4 socket means that users will have the first generation Ryzen processors launch in 2017 and can get a modern CPU 8 years later without replacing their motherboards. And then it says, however, it might also create challenges for users who want to purchase a new budget PC but don't understand these processors generation. After all, if you're buying anything released this year, you're bound to expect it will have the latest and graphics tech, even if it's not the fastest. So even if you're not spending much, it's natural for you to expect that you can easily upgrade the PC several years down the road. Given that we already have Zen 5 chips today, we don't know how long AMD will milk the Zen 3 architecture based off this. Intel called out AMD on this practice, putting out new chips based on much older technology, even though they're guilty of doing the same thing. That's why anyone buying a new CPU must investigate the chip specification, as you cannot trust the naming schemes and even the release dates of the new processors today. Alright, that should do it. Yeah, we got 0 comments. Look, when I was learning PCs, matter of fact, when I was learning PCs and when I was working at Comp USA at the time, when you come inside the store and you buy a PC, the CPU that you get on the board is the bare minimum. The motherboard itself can hold more. I learned this. Let me turn on this light real quick. I learned this years ago. like the computer that you buy, you know, on the board, the CPU that you get, that's just the base CPU. The board can hold more, like the RAM that comes with the board when you buy the computer in the store. The RAM that you get, that's just like average compared to what the board can really hold. So what you do is what you do is you look up the motherboard, you do some research on the board and see what the board can really handle, and then take it from there. Yeah, I learned this years ago when when I was learning PC. So you have to, like, when you buy boards and stuff, you know, motherboards, and when you're building a PC, you know, like and you buy a motherboard, you know, you research that board to see what it can really handle, you know, because what you're getting from the store, they don't tell you that the board can hold more. Is what you see on the on that little on that flyer is what you think that's what you're getting, until you really, like, you open the case and then look up that serial number on the board and see what the board can really handle. Then you find out what you got. So I learned this like years ago when I was learning PC. So let me give a shout out to Scott Mueller. Who was that? Mike Mears, Mark Manassi, Bigelow, Brooks. These are authors of computer books. Charles Brooks, Bigelow. Who else I can think of when I was reading all these books? So yeah, I learned this, you know, like years ago. So when you're buying when you're building PCs, man, always research the board, you know. So always research the board to see what it can handle. But now with AMD, now, you know, it's good that you know, that AMD you know, is still supporting Zen 3 architecture for now, for the time being. But you know, but that will come to an end down the road, somewhere down the road. But for now, AMD is just being AMD, you know. Even though the Zen 5 is out right now, and there's an article. Matter of fact, I need to go over it. That's talking about what's that? Zen 6. So yeah. So actually, I think I did the video already. So yeah, AMD is just being AMD, man. So when you buy these when you're building computers, man, always research that motherboard to see what it can really handle, you know, what it can really handle, you know. Yeah, and then take it from there, you know. And of course, you know, when you're building a PC, you know, the case size does matter, you know, because you're talking about airflow, and, you know, making sure your CPU get a lot of air running through it. And you want to get a case that has like 4 or 5 fans in it, you know. So yeah, to keep your CPU cool and all that. So yeah, basic little tech stuff. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, but I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy, though. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, to the Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Dark side. Go. Peace.